Kat Kerr is famous for a lot of things, one of which is claiming that she goes to heaven on a regular basis. Like, God brings her to heaven on a regular basis to hang out with him. I don't know if you guys are aware, but I stream on Twitch pretty frequently, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 11 to 2 usually. And what I do is I take the stream that I do on Twitch, edit it down and split it up into parts, and I upload it on my Telltale Unfiltered channel, right? So what we're about to watch is excerpts from the video that I watched on Twitch and uploaded to my Telltale Unfiltered channel a little while back. The name of the video was Wednesdays with Kat and Steve. So apparently she goes on Steve Schultz's YouTube channel or Facebook page, Rumble, whatever. She goes on there every Wednesday, I guess, and just talks to him about all kinds of weird stuff. So I figured we'd take a look at where the conversation went on May 2nd. Yeah, this was May 2nd when this one came out. So the first clip I have here, let me just reintroduce you to some of her ideas. This was the beginning of the conversation they had. Let's check this out.
So do women go shopping with women in heaven? Or is there stores where you go clothes shopping?
Oh, yes.
Remember, she claims to go to heaven on a regular basis to chill with God. God brings her to heaven every day. You know, they just go up there and they just kind of hang out together. And this poor sucker believes it. Actually thinks that she's telling the truth about going to heaven like every day to hang out with God.
Oh, yes, there certainly is.
There really is, because men don't like to shop at all. That's not a heavenly.
It's funny though. One of the first times, not the first time, one of the few first times he took me. He actually, on purpose, took me to a place. He said, "This is where you get the gifts." He
being Jesus, I assume. He brought her to the place where you get gifts. Okay.
And I'm thinking gifts, but he always answers me just even if I think something. He said, "Well, you know, everybody uses the gift I gave them on the earth that I will never take away." And I found out that's why there's so many things in heaven. There's this.
What does that mean? The gift that I gave them that they'll never take away or whatever. What does that mean? I don't understand.
That's why there's so many things in heaven. That's why there's amusement parks, rodeos. There's all kinds of places to shop. You don't pay for anything, though. It's all freely made, freely given, because people have gifts to create clothing. I've been to a jeweler's in heaven. It was amazing. Wow.
Okay, now it's getting weird. She's getting specific. She's talking about jewelers in heaven. That's really interesting to me. That tells me that there's a local economy in heaven, right? It seems to me that what she's talking about implies that there's a local economy. You pay for goods. I mean, people are performing services or they're producing goods that they're there to sell, and I'm assuming you have to give them money for that, right? What she's outlining for us here seems to be like a capitalist type of system.
And I did see a friend of mine, close friend of mine, I saw her mother in heaven, and she was going in and out of every shop. And her person who was her husband was with her. He was carrying all of the boxes and the bags.
Sounds like he was in hell, right? Zing.
Of everything she was getting. She was getting gifts for friends.
Really?
And she's putting them in their mansions as they're being made. So I'm like,
oh yeah, everybody has a mansion. I don't know if you caught that. She said they're bringing it to their mansions or something.
And she's putting them in their mansions as they're being made. So I'm like,
yeah, everyone has a mansion, everyone. And she went into detail about what these mansions look like and everything. Look at this guy on the left here, smiling, nodding, saying, wow, really? In some other clips, hold on. Let me find this one. Wait a minute. This is actually an old compilation before I started editing them down. If you wonder if this guy really does believe this stuff or not, he does. He does. He believes it. In this clip that I have pulled up here, she's talking about how there are different levels of heaven. There's first heaven, second heaven, third heaven, and Satan sets up a heaven up there, but it's not as good as God's heaven. And every time you worship, your prayers turn into missiles that blow apart parts of Satan's heaven. And at the very end of this clip, you know what this guy Steve Schultz says in response to this bizarre, drawn-out description that is obviously completely made up?
I mean, literally, this has never been taught to me.
I wonder why, Steve. I wonder why it's never been taught to you. Do you think it's because it's a fabrication in her own mind? This guy, look at him. Again, look at this guy. He's smiling. He believes it. He's eating this stuff up right now. Let's keep listening.
That looks absolutely delightful. And so he had me make a CD for the women called, I think it's Unlimited Free Shopping Spree in Heaven.
Wait. What was that? Say that again.
Delightful. And so he had me make a CD called...
Make a CD? They have CDs in heaven? They don't have something more advanced? Why didn't they go with tapes? Why not VHS tapes or cassette tapes or whatever? Why go with CDs and DVDs? That's a weird medium to pick, isn't it? This is bizarre from top to bottom, dude.
I think it's Unlimited Free Shopping Spree in Heaven.
This is weird stuff, dude. I love this, though. This is endlessly entertaining to me, honestly. You know, I cover a lot of dark subjects sometimes, but just sitting here listening to these people say the strangest stuff is entertaining as hell. Sometimes I do cover some dark subjects, and, you know, this one was no exception. This is entertaining as hell to listen to, but she does go down a dark hole that I feel I have to address. So listen to what she says next.
How are relationships mended in heaven between family members who were victims, perpetrators of abuse, and all that while they were still alive on earth? How are those things reconciled? Now, we talked a little bit about it last week, but I mean, for people who are new, they think I'm going to get to heaven. I said my sister didn't want to be there because my dad would be there. But so the question is, how does that reconcile? And we kind of talked about it, but anything else you want to say?
Yeah, so this person, it was a question that he received on his live stream or whatever. I told my sister I didn't want to be in heaven if my dad's going to be there because, you know, some people do terrible things in life and mistreat their family members terribly, mistreat the people who they're supposed to be protecting. And it totally, absolutely 100% makes sense that it would not be heaven if the person who did that to you is there with you. It wouldn't be heaven. So the question is, how does God deal with that? It's a good question, a valid question. Let's hear Kat Kerr's response to it.
The main thing that does happen, Steve, is your body is not in heaven.
Yeah.
Your fleshly mind is not there. The flesh part of you that was in your soul is gone. Your soul stays with your spirit man, so it goes to heaven with you.
Okay, that's interesting. Make note of that. Make a mental note, because this comes into play in a minute. This part where she's saying that your body doesn't go to heaven, it's just your spirit or your soul or whatever. So you're not physically in heaven, I guess, is what she's saying. Your spirit is in heaven, but not you.
With your spirit man, so it goes to heaven with you. And all those thoughts and all those emotions are gone. They can't enter into heaven. If they were present, someone that you couldn't stand, a family member, and they were present when you died, you would actually have love for them the moment you stepped out of your body.
You know, just what she's saying here, I'm 100% sure just the words that came out of her mouth made the question asker's skin crawl. There are people on this earth who absolutely don't deserve to be, for lack of a better term. Truly terrible people, truly terrible things that they've done. And she's saying you're going to forgive it when you get to heaven because those feelings aren't permitted in heaven, or they're not there in heaven or whatever. I find it absolutely fascinating that one of the primary arguments a lot of these evangelicals give for why God couldn't just snap his fingers and make us know without a shadow of a doubt that he's real. The reason he doesn't do that is because we need to have free will. He has to respect our free will. We have to be allowed to make decisions and choose and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's weird because according to Kat Kerr, who, by the way, is not a nobody, she may have a megachurch. That's a possibility. I'm not sure. But even if she does, the megachurch isn't the source of her power. Her power resides in the fact that she writes curriculums for Christian schools and stuff like that. This person is well known in the prophetic evangelical Christian world, very well known and well respected. And here we're sitting here listening to her give us contradictory ideas. Why doesn't God tell us that he's real? Everybody in our minds instantly? Why can't we just know instantly? He's got to respect our free will, right? That's their argument. Then why is he willing to change our minds or change our brains to not have certain emotions or feelings or not think certain things when we get to heaven. Either we have free will or we don't. Either God respects our free will or he doesn't. We can't find out that God's real definitively because we have to have free will. Either we have free will or we don't.
You would not even see them the same way.
Wow.
You wouldn't at that moment have any of the emotions or the anger or the rejection or any of that. That would be gone. It's not in your soul anymore. And so your soul is free. It's filled with God. It's filled with his life, his understanding. And you understand at that moment, it was the devil all along trying to keep you apart. That doesn't give people the right to do those things. God doesn't like it when we abuse each other in any way.
It's interesting that she's blaming Satan for the bad things that people do, but apparently that's going to potentially keep them out of heaven, right? So whose fault was it? Was it Satan's fault or was it the person's fault? They're okay with blaming the person who did it if they go to hell. But suddenly, the moment they repent and make their way into heaven, it was Satan's doing all along, and you can't blame them for that.
But he does bring a time in our life where that is removed from us so that we can enjoy heaven, we can enjoy each other. And let me tell you, when you do get to heaven, you're going to run and hug your dad.
Again, whoever asked this question, I am absolutely certain that their skin is crawling right now. She must not understand. Really. I mean, to say something like that, she really must not understand what it's like to be terribly mistreated by somebody who you're supposed to trust.
That's very cool.
You'll be so crazy about him, and you'll be so, wow, I'm here. Look, Dad, I'm here. I'm so happy that I'm here and I can spend time with you. That's exactly how you will feel when you see him in heaven.
Again, I reiterate, I don't think that she's going to want to be there in that case. If her brain is going to be altered to be more accepting of the person who did these things to her, I deeply doubt she wants to even be there. I would be willing to bet that just saying what she said, Kerr probably turned this person away from the belief system to some degree. Now, you remember a few minutes ago I said, keep it in the back of your head. She said, when you get to heaven, you're not going to have your physical body, right? You're just going to be there in spirit or whatever, okay? Listen to this next clip with that in mind.
It seems like every mansion would need a living room or a great room or something to entertain.
Back to the mansions.
And couches, do they all have a great room? I guess a wardrobe room, a big old wardrobe room. Do they all have one of those?
Oh, yeah, they totally have a wardrobe room. You get more than, I love it, God said, you get more than a gown and a robe.
Wait, why would they have a wardrobe room? I thought you weren't there in your physical body. What happened? She just based an entire argument off the premise that you don't have a physical body, didn't she? And now she's telling us that you have a wardrobe room and you can wear different gowns and stuff in heaven?
And he said, by the way, that is not a nightgown and bathrobe that he gives you when you go to heaven, because every picture I've ever seen, and I've seen people's gowns, oh my gosh, they have the light of God coming from them. And the robe is embellished with gemstones from the heart of the Father for all the times you were kind and wonderful. And they look like kings and queens' robes and gowns. And they are white because it's the light of God. It's not just white cloth. And that's just 2 pieces of apparel you get.
You get multiple pieces of apparel. Interesting. Is that because you do, in fact, have a physical body in heaven? That's the impression that I'm getting here.
Gives you an entire wardrobe room in your mansion that, I don't know, 5,000 square feet. It was so.
I mean, it seems to me that just the fact that you have a mansion in the first place means that you have a physical body in heaven, right? It's a physical place. You bring your physical body that's cured of all ailments, presumably, and you have your brain altered so that you won't be capable of feeling disgust or hate or fear, apparently. I mean, this is just bizarre stuff, dude. She keeps elaborating of this idea that she has of heaven, and it gets weirder and weirder.
5,000 square feet. It was so huge, I couldn't hardly see the end of it.
That's pretty heckin' big.
And everything is in there that you would love to wear, but it's mainly made because of all the things to do in heaven. Trust me, you're not going to go swimming in the crystal sea wearing your gown.
She named one of the seas. The Crystal Sea. Very interesting. Okay. Well, I'm glad to know there's a crystal sea in heaven. Thank you, Kat.
In the crystal sea wearing your gown. That's just wouldn't be. Remember, and heaven is a literal spiritual world like this is. So if you
Oh, interesting. It is a literal spiritual world like this is what she's saying. Okay.
Like this is. So if you're going to ride a roller coaster, you don't want a gown. You would pick something from your wardrobe.
Wait, you have your stuff? Like you have your physical items and things that you would need to have a baby if you wanted to? That's a new layer. Do people have babies in heaven? I thought that people had babies on Earth and then the babies made their way up to heaven. Interesting. The plot thickens.
From your wardrobe, but you just click like fingers at it and then it's on you.
Wow, dude. She really does believe this stuff. She really does. And again, this guy believes it too. And if you doubt me on that, listen to this conversation they had.
Worship happens on the earth normally. It is collected, number one, by angels a lot of times, but it also goes up through the atmosphere and it's put into the bowls before the altar of God, and it creates an incense. Well, that sacrifice of praise is the most beautiful incense in the throne room when someone's doing that, but it also creates a weapon. As you do that, when you say that, you know, you're worthy anyway, you know, you are my God and I will not serve another, you are it.
God, they are so cringy. They're like getting emotional over talking about how much they love God.
You are it. Missiles come out of your mouth and they go up through the second heaven where Satan has this little mock kingdom set up, and you actually blow up parts of it. I mean, really, it explodes. They have to try to rebuild all the time.
Really?
And so you're very dangerous against hell. And your worst days, we should always worship God, especially
I mean, literally, this has never been taught to me.
Maybe because it's nonsense, bro. Do you ever consider that as a possibility? Maybe it's nonsense. Maybe she honestly has no idea what she's talking about and she's making this up on the spot. I'm just saying. Think about it. Here's another little factoid that I learned about Kat Kerr. She does not like flat earthers. That was made evident to me by this next thing that she had to say. Listen to this one.
That's amazing. Now, when you were talking last week, when we had you on, you were talking about, because I'd never asked it in those terms, and I was picturing a gift shop in heaven when you answered this, because I said, so are you saying that heaven, when you say it's a world, do you mean it's a globe? Do you mean it's a sphere? Yeah. And you said, absolutely. And as soon as you said that, I thought, then there's got to be a gift shop in heaven with the sphere, the globe of heaven, that people can go and buy that globe or snow globe. I don't know. Have you seen any? Do they have trinkets like that in heaven?
They would have those in Christmas Town, but they do have snow globes in Christmas Town, people.
They have snow globes of heaven. She is like doubling and tripling down on this whole heaven is a sphere thing.
Trinkets like that in heaven?
They would have those in Christmas Town, but they do have snow globes in Christmas Town, people. I hope you're happy about that because you can't change it, okay? The parts I've seen, now I can't connect every part of heaven. Obviously, it's way too massive. But it is a globe, and it says in the Bible that the earth is a shadow, a type in a shadow of heaven.
Aren't shadows flat? I'm just saying. I think it's weird that she picked this conspiracy to not accept. This one. She accepts every other conspiracy out there. I don't think I've ever heard her come out and say very specifically that, like, she's a digital soldier or any of the really specific QAnon stuff that QAnoners say. But she espouses the beliefs that they have. For example, she got on air and announced that Trump was officially inaugurated as the next president instead of Biden on March 4th, which is a really deep QAnon belief that I don't have time to get into right now. But that's one of their beliefs. It's one of their conspiracy theories, that Trump was secretly inaugurated as the president instead of Biden on March 4th. 2021. So she accepts these beliefs. She accepts all of these QAnon ideas and stuff. She's a conspiracy theorist at heart. I am honestly surprised that she didn't accept the flat earth one.
So we all know, those who are wise and smart and intelligent know this earth is a globe.
Ooh, shot across the bow right there.
And there's many reasons and purposes why he needs it to be a globe. Why would it not be when heaven, the world called heaven, the Father's house, is a whole world, a globe, bigger than even our galaxy?
I love how she's arguing that the Earth is a globe from a religious Christian perspective, like that gives her some kind of upper hand or some better footing or something. The globular nature of the Earth is a scientific claim that can be proven or disproven scientifically, not through Christianity. But notice what she's doing. She's not even appealing to science. She's appealing to the Bible. The Bible says it's a globe. Although, by the way, I don't think it does. Just putting it out there. I think it says it's round, doesn't it? That doesn't imply that it's a globe. It could be round and flat simultaneously. There are circles. It doesn't have to be a sphere. I'm just saying, I think it's interesting that she's appealing to the Bible for this rather than science, when it's obviously a scientific question.
And yes, Steve, I've never even told anybody this. Yes, you can find in heaven, not only do they have globes of that very world of heaven that shows all the different places you can go and things to do on there, they actually have like a wall hanging type of a thing that says a world called heaven, and you can see almost not like a map. I don't know how to describe it, but you would touch the place on there and you would be there instantly in heaven, the place you want to go to in heaven.
Wow, she just keeps making stuff up, right? This is so endlessly entertaining to me. Interestingly enough, though, that isn't the first time she attacked the flat earth ideas. Like I said, she's a conspiracy theorist at heart, so I really do find it strange that this is the one she rejects, but she truly does reject this conspiracy theory outright. So she attacks flat earth in this clip. This is May 2nd, right? February 2022, she came out and said some similar stuff about flat earth. Listen to this one.
And they have people pour millions of dollars into this flat earth society. It just used to be the flat earth theory.
Okay, no to all of that, Kat. A scientific theory is not the same thing as a colloquial, traditional, like layman's version of theory. Saying something is a scientific theory means it has reached the pinnacle of scientific research and scientific understanding. By the time it reaches theory status, we understand it inside and out. The theory of gravity, the germ theory of disease. We understand this stuff, and there really isn't much room for argument in this. We understand how germs transmit from one person to the next. We understand that washing your hands will prevent disease. We understand why planets circle the sun and things like that. We understand this stuff. There's no question in our minds. What was it she said? Listen again.
Have people pour millions of dollars into this flat earth society. It just used to be the flat earth theory.
It was never the flat earth theory. It is being taken more seriously by some people right now. There are some real nutter butters out there who absolutely insist that the earth is flat. It's ridiculous. No scientific evidence to support that. But we are making the claim here that the earth is a globular spheroid. We are making the claim, and we have to provide the evidence. We have the burden of proof as people who accept science. Flat earthers could simply sit there and say, show me the evidence. And they do, to some degree. Lucky for us, we have evidence to prove it. Flat earth is a neutral position by default. They don't have to make any claims. Thus, it couldn't be a theory. Well, I guess they could make up ideas about it or whatever. They could hypothesize about this thing or that. It's really just a neutral claim, though. They don't know. You have to prove to us that it's a globular spheroid. And like I said, we have. In no way, shape, or form was flat earth ever a theory.
I guess when a bunch of people, men got together and decided it was so important, they'd actually name it a society so it'd have a name.
Well, that's kind of interesting. Did she just, was that a shot across the bow for men, too?
I guess when a bunch of people, men got together and decided it was so important, they'd actually name it a society so it'd have a name. There literally are people, some even well-known people, or rich people who have become a part of this thing.
Agreed. It's weird. I don't understand it either, why well-known and rich people become a part of the flat earth society or the flat earth ideology or whatever else.
They could be made to feel special. They're contributing to what they call as truth. It's nothing but a distraction from Satan.
Wow, isn't that interesting? All the things she just listed are how I describe Christians. They just want to feel special, and it's, what was it?
Oh, they're contributing to what they call as truth.
They're contributing to what they call the truth. That's really interesting. Like, she seems to view things in a semi-logical way, but when it comes to Christianity, when it comes to her beliefs, it's off the rails, dude. Absolutely off the rails.
But Jesus laughs every time they hear the earth is really flat. Because you know the Word made everything. Jesus made this earth. He knows it's round.
Dude, this is so endlessly entertaining to me. We have a Christian evangelical nutter butter arguing that the earth is not flat. Does it get any better than this, honestly?
Okay, let's say here's the flat earth, right?
The hell is that thing? Are these peacock feathers that you have here? Why do you just have peacock feathers lying around?
Right? And there's pilots going around this flat earth. So I guess when they get to the edge, they just flip it all so they can continue over to the other side of the flat earth to get where they're going.
See, now she's trying to appeal to science. This is really interesting. A minute ago, she appealed to Christianity to disprove the flat earth. Jesus laughs at it, and what else was it that she said? The Bible says that the earth is round and blah, blah, blah. Now she's appealing to science, and not very well, I have to say. I'm sorry, Kat.
I mean, there are some things that are so ridiculous for people just to waste their time on.
Oh my God, tell me about it. Kat Kerr, thank you. I'm so glad that you and I agree on this point.
So ridiculous for people just to waste their time on.
She says this while wearing a pin that says, "I don't do demons," which, by the way, I think that's a reference to, like, deliverance ministry where people try to exorcise demons from other people and stuff like that. It's just no self-awareness, honestly. No self-awareness whatsoever.
But the earth is not flat. It is beautifully round. Heaven is a beautifully round sphere. It's a sphere. It is not a flat anything. Okay, so don't worry about falling off the edge. You're okay.
Okay, thank you, Kat Kerr. Yeah. So here's the question for you. Does she believe the things that she's saying? Obviously, she doesn't believe in flat earth. She doesn't think that the earth is flat. Obviously, she accepts that it's a globular spheroid. So she is in reality with us, at least on this one point. But the other stuff, does she believe it? Does she really believe there are mansions in heaven? Does she really believe she visits heaven on a daily basis? Does she think that she hangs out with God on a daily basis and takes pictures with him and paints his picture and stuff like that? Does she buy it? I don't know. I'm really not sure. Is she a true believer, or is she trying to con somebody? Let me know in the comments or on Twitter @TelltaleAtheist.